Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Grace Talks. This is the Grace Talk for February 2017, and I've entitled it Love in a Time of Madness. Let's see, I have my flower in my hair, celebrating Valentine's Day this month, and I've actually just come from speaking at a local church on this same topic. How do we keep our hearts open to love in this time when things are rocky in our world? Like many of you, I went to the Women's March this past weekend to stand up for equality and respect of all people. And it was a lovely and encouraging event, both here in New Hampshire and across the country, as I saw footage from many of my friends and people who I know who stood up in other states. And then to see that all around the world, actually, there were many people walking in solidarity with us to say we need to keep our heads on straight and our hearts on straight and work toward an equitable, compassionate, value-laden government that will look out for not only the people here, but the needy people across the planet. So I think it's a great time to focus on love for February. I think it's a great time to spend time reflecting on how do we maintain a steady flow of love into us from the source of love and through us to other people as a giver of love, as a bringer of love. So I wanted to start by reading you a poem, not a poem I wrote, but a poem by Hafiz, the Sufi mystic, who wrote this poem called I Know the Way You Can Get, about what happens to us when we are not focused on love and cultivating love. I know the way you can get when you have not had a drink of love. Your face hardens, your sweet muscles cramp. Children become concerned about a strange look that appears in your eyes, which even begins to worry your own mirror and nose. Squirrels and birds sense your sadness and call an important conference in a tall tree. They decide which secret code to chant to help your mind and soul. Even angels fear that brand of madness that arrays itself against the world and throws sharp stones and spears into the innocent. Oh, I know the way you can get if you have not been drinking love. You might rip apart every sentence your friends and teachers say, looking for hidden clauses. You might weigh every word on a scale like a dead fish. You might pull out a ruler to measure from every angle in your darkness the beautiful dimensions of a heart you once trusted. I know the way you can get if you have not had a drink from love's hands. That is why all the great ones speak of the vital need to keep remembering God. So you will come to know and see him as being playful and wanting, only wanting to help. That is why Hafiz says, bring your cup near me, for all I care about is quenching your thirst for freedom. All a sane man can ever care about is giving love. This poem from I Heard God Laughing, renderings of Hafiz. I really enjoy this poem as a reminder of how people can get defensive, gnarly, divisive, and even aggressive if they haven't felt themselves loved, lovable, and loving. And it's a very sad situation when someone chooses to push people away and separate rather than allow people to come closer. But every person has their sensitivities and every person has their wounding. And that's why we need to keep our own hearts full of love and overflowing with love. So when someone brings their cup near to us, we can share with them gently, humbly, and lovingly so that they can rest, recover, convalesce even in the presence of someone who cares about them, who sees their wounds and loves them anyway. And it's hard to do that in a time when people are so divisive and argumentative and aggressive. We all have to stand for what we believe in. If we're standing for love, we can do that quietly and we can do that loudly. We can do that with our feet. We can do that with our prayer. We can do that with our compassion or our service. So many ways to love that we can participate in. And most of all, making sure that we're getting ourselves filled with love on a regular basis so that we can have something to offer other people. And what I mean by that is doing whatever practices that you might do that help you to feel loved by the source of love, which I call God. Practices of meditation, of contemplation, of prayer, things that help us to slow down and tune into a greater source of life than the movement and activity of our everyday life. And it takes some quiet time, some reflection. It takes some heart, some willingness to open our heart, get into our heart and feel the reality of being alive as part of the force of life. I'm a big fan of Star Trek and Star Wars. Those of you who know me know that. And I really love the saying, may the force be with you. Much like the Catholic Church says, peace be with you. The force of life is the force that energizes our bodies and our beings, our spirit. And it is, it is the substance of life, the conduit for love, the emanation of spirit from our being that brings peace to other people and that brings the possibility for healing. In a time like this of madness, sometimes even the best heart doesn't overcome some of the madness and some of the separation and fear and wounding that people have. But our attempts at that, at staying centered and willing to be compassionate, willing to be understanding, willing to find out what has harmed another person and receive their story and do what we can to help. And Valentine's Day is generally seen as a day for couples, and how can one person express their appreciation and admiration for another person, sometimes in the form of gifts like flowers or chocolate or dinner out or something that people do together to say, I'm especially remembering today that I love you and appreciate you, and I'm taking that extra time to express that. You know, as living beings, we are made to connect with one another, and we don't do that. We don't get to share the beautiful bounty of what it feels like to give and receive. And it's important that everyone has the opportunity to do both, to give and to receive. And when we practice that, not only with our beloved, whoever that is, but also with every person that we meet, we can consider that the beloved heart that is in the person that we love is also in every person. And how can we express our genuineness, our appreciation, our admiration for that which is in every person, whether we call that soul or spirit or God self or whatever we call it, seed of light. In some traditions, they have words for that. In the yogic tradition, people will bow to each other and say namaste. Namaste meaning I recognize the light, the God in you that is also in me. And if we remember that every person has the same source, the same beingness inside of them, then how can we be separate? We're kind of like an aspen grove where all of those trees are connected underground and they just come up and look like separate trees, but they're not really separate. And in the yogic tradition, in the Kundalini yoga, we say Satnam, same thing, the sacred name of me, of I am in you as well. And doing that practice, or even when you meet someone, shaking their hand with the force of your being, saying, I see you, hello, there you are. Or touching your heart, nice to meet you. You know, there are lots of customs in different cultures where people express the depth of their heart by touching this part of their body where their loving heart center is. And keeping that heart open, keeping it from being too shielded or having barbed wire around it that scratches at people if they try to get close. It is a practice to do that. Because in life, we do get wounded, we do get afraid, we do have things happen to us that we don't like, and we try to protect ourselves and preserve ourselves from those pains. And we try to learn from history and say, if that person hurt me before, or if that situation hurt me before, it likely will again. And I'd like to avoid that because none of us like those painful experiences. But what we do like is to feel connected. And what we do know is that we can be connected heart to heart. There's some really interesting research about how smiles set off endorphins in our brain, and how hugs, when you hug someone heart to heart for 20 seconds, the relaxation response comes into effect and both people feel better and their immune systems get boosted from that, and they are healthier because of it, a good long hug. So we have a great opportunity in February to practice love in a time of madness. That means doing all kinds of things that open our hearts and the hearts of others, being present, getting our own hearts filled up with love by doing a practice that helps us to open to the great flow of love in the universe so that we don't have to feel wearied by the things of the world. We can let ourselves overflow by finding people to be with who encourage and support us and fill us up so that we can feel alive and loved and lovable. And then we go out there and share that with the people that we meet. We take responsibility for the energy that we carry around and the way it impacts other people. We notice them and notice how they're doing, and hopefully respond in a way that helps our heart to continue pouring love toward them and to be present for them so that they can share whatever is weighing on their heart and maybe be unburdened by it. And as some of you know, I work in hospice care, and I also am a bereavement counselor. And I know that the things of love, the ways of love are very subtle. Just being present with someone while they tell you the story of their grief or their limitation can make that person feel better, even if their situation isn't going to change. Receiving someone's story of grief and loss, or the story of their life as they're preparing to die, helps people to feel unburdened and known. And that's really what human beings are looking for. They need to be seen and known and cherished as beings that are important to the earth and important to other people. So February is a month of practicing generosity of spirit and the constant flow of love in our heart. And I encourage you and challenge you to be one of the people that practices love, even in a time of madness, even in a time of strife, even in a time where there are so many uncertainties, maybe even especially in these times. So I keep you in my prayers that your efforts will be magnified and blessed, and that you'll find ways to both fill up with love that are satisfying and fulfilling for you, and to share love with those around you, those that you meet, and that you have a good support system of people in your life that help you to feel connected, that help you to feel lovable and loved, so that you can go and then turn and love others as you have been loved. So peace to you all in this blessed month, and I look forward to hearing from you how your practice of loving goes in February. Peace to you.